Welcome back, everyone. It's John, Wade Boggs fan. Well, today's video is inspired by Scott, Sconnie Tradition. And if you haven't seen his channel or his videos recently, about a week and a half ago, something like that, Scott did a video on his top 50 sports cards. I guess it was an update from one that he did a year ago, and to see which new ones came into his top 50 and so on. And he ranked them by value, or what the cards would be worth or have sold for. So to say his collection is impressive is an understatement. I watched it and I was just in awe of all the high end and just amazing cards that he has in his collection. He mainly focuses on football, Green Bay Packers specifically, but he had some really good basketball and baseball cards as well. Some of them he added this year, and others he's had for a long time in his collection. So it got me thinking. Obviously, I don't have that high end of a collection that Scott has, and this isn't a top 50 cards in my collection video, although I may do one at some point. But what I thought was I would do a much shorter video and focus on my comma cards. And if you're not familiar what comma cards are, there are cards that are worth valued at $1,000 or more, hence the comma in the number. Other people refer to them as big boy cards. So what I did was I took a look at some of the cards that I thought would reach that milestone. I did a current check on eBay sale prices to determine roughly where they were going for. And again, as prices go, something's only worth what someone is willing to pay for it at any given time. But I did my best to estimate roughly what these cards were worth based on last sales. The one bit of a difficulty is, and then most of my cards that fall into this category are my vintage cards. And my vintage cards, most of them are graded at this point in time through Beckett, BVG, Beckett vintage graded. And I understand that a BVG 5 won't sell for as much as a PSA 5. I understand that. And so while I was doing searches, there isn't a whole lot of volume on BVG graded cards. So I went with the PSA, and I either went, if I had a half a grade higher, I went with a lower, or try to do the best I can to be conservative in what I think some of these cards are worth. So I don't have too many, but what I thought I'd do is again show them off. And so I'm going to turn the camera around and let's go look at some of my comma cards. All right, so I'm going to show these off in order of lowest value to highest. So we'll start off with one of my key purchases from the National back in 2015, and it's my T206 Christy Mathewson with a dark cap in an SGC 3. I just love this card. Every time I look at it, it has a sweet cap rollback. I don't think these are much more rarer than the Piedmont backs, but I don't know, for you T206 collectors out there, you may not be able to see it. It says factory number 30. I think it says 24. Something like that. I don't know. It's sort of hard to see down at the bottom there, but I don't think this is a rare back. But I just loved it. The front of it is hardly any creases. You just got some corner wear there, but the picture itself is nice and crisp. This was one of my goals to pick up at the 2015 National. Back then, I paid, I think, roughly $400 for it, and it just, based on one of the latest sales, it just cracked $1,000. My next one I bought from my local card shop back in 2015 as well. The first group here, I went on a tear, I guess, in 2015. Now that I look back at it, I bought this one raw at my local card shop. I think I paid around $350 for it, and then I had it graded. And it's my 1963 Topps Mickey Mantle in a BVG 7.5. What's key to this set, obviously, is that bottom colored part of the card and just some slight wear down on the bottom there. Pretty clean back to it as well. I knew it should grade fairly high, but when it came back at a 7.5, I was a little bit floored. Again, this one, the value, I tried to be conservative on the estimate, maybe looking at a PSA 7, 6.5, whatever the sales were. This may be around $1,500. And again, I bought it raw for $350, so not bad. Another one from my local card shop that I bought raw, again back in 2015, is my 1953 Topps Mickey Mantle in a 2.5. Again, I had it sent in to get it graded. I was actually hoping for a little bit better than a 2.5. Knowing that the borders there, I knew it was off center, left to right, a little bit top to bottom, but I guess there's a few little surface indentations there if you look really, really close. Other than that, the corners aren't too bad. Pretty nice back to it. I bought it raw for about $9.50. Any old Mickey Mantle, of course, is a second-year Topps card, so I figured that was a good investment, even though this isn't meant to sell. They're going for around $2,000 now in probably like a PSA 2. So there's that one. Next on my list is the second big pickup that I wanted to do back in the 2015 National, and that was to reacquire a 1954 Topps Ted Williams. So I found this example, picked it up, I think, on the last day of the show, paid around $600 for it, in a 7. Now, it may be a little bit hard to see, but the grading it got up there, centering 6.5. I'm sure it's probably because of the top to bottom, left to right's pretty good. Centering on the back, though, is pretty off. I mean, it's probably like 0% on that side, but I didn't buy it because of the back. Corners, though, 7, edges 8, surface 7.5. So again, I looked at a value. I don't think I looked at a PSA 7, but at any rate, it's a gorgeous looking card. It was on my want list in 2015, and like I said, I acquired it for about $600. Now I'd say it's just like that 53 Mantle on around $2,000. All right, my next to last one, like I said, I don't have too many, but I am fortunate enough that I have the ones that I do have. This was my final acquisition at my local card shop. Again, bought this one raw back in 2015. My 1952 Bowman Mickey Mantle. I then had sent it into BVG to get it graded. Came back a 4.5. I have a Stan Musial 52 Bowman, and I kept comparing it to this one. There's a slight little print line there, which may have my Stan Musial, I think, is a 6, so I was hoping that this would get around a 5. It is close, but anyway, I still love this card. It does have some staining in the back. It may be some wax stain, but I think it just gives it some character. Back from 1952. No surface loss or anything like that. Just an absolute gorgeous card. I paid a little over $1,300 for this raw. And right now, I think I looked at some PSA 4 examples. They're going for around $2,250. So still a pretty good purchase there. And my last one, all these up to this point have been vintage, but here's a modern card that I picked up, and it was probably one of the best bets purchases I have made in my entire collecting history. Back in 2014, now I bought this one graded as is. Bought this one for $125, and it's my Bowman Chrome Refractor Mike Trout rookie card. I have a raw copy of his Topps Update. It's part of a complete set I have, so I don't have one separate. I do like that image better, but having the refractor version of this card, it's a 9.5. The centering has a 9, but the corners have a 10, and the edges and surface have a 9.5. But really nice card there, and these are selling at 9.5 Beckett's for around $3,000. So again, I did extremely well back in 2014. I should have picked up more Trouts than I did, but that was one I saw as a potential opportunity, because I think the Topps Update were just going crazy, and they didn't come around to getting some of those. So at any rate, there you have my comic cards. I only have 6. Again, I'm grateful to have the 6 I have, but nothing compared to what Scott showed off in his videos. These may have just cracked the middle spots of his top 50, but anyway, Scott, thank you for inspiring me to do this video. I will put a link to Scott's channel, Sconnie Tradition, in the description of this video. If you haven't checked out his channel, you have to do so. He's got some great cards in his collection and does a great job showing them off. So with that, let's wrap up with our normal trivia. And I know it's been, I think, a couple days. I don't think I did a trivia on my last video, which was a video response. So if you recall, the previous question was, in what year did the Detroit Tigers win their first World Series? I was a little surprised with this one. A few of you got it. The answer is 1935. I could have sworn that Ty Cobb won a World Series as part of the Detroit Tigers, but no, they made it to the World Series 4 times before 1935, but lost all 4 times. So they finally won it in 1935. And yes, a couple of my subscribers who answered the question felt terrible because the Tigers beat their Cubs 4-2 back in 1935. So there you go. New question for this video. Which 2 players are the only switch hitters to win multiple batting titles? There have only been 2 players that were switch hitters that have won more than one batting title. Who are those 2 players? Answer, of course, in my next video. That's all I had for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.